Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing? Cowboy Crunk again. Not sure why the live footage does that. It shifts the camera every time to the right there. So just wanted to jump in real quick, guys. As you guys know, a lot of things are going down right now. Today is like every 5 minutes there's a signing going down. There's something happening. Somebody's pulling the trigger on something. Aaron Rodgers just got paid off the chain. So I want to go over how this is affecting everyone, especially us as Cowboy fans. I like to see it. I'm happy to see this money. I'm happy to see this money being thrown out. Not to players that, let's say, don't deserve it, but come on, guys.
Not to players that, let's say, don't.
As you guys know, the NFC is loading up right now with offensive players. They just paid Beckham. They just paid Tyler Lockett. They just paid Aaron Rodgers. All of these offensive players are getting paid, and no one is paying these defensive players. You know, and everyone preaches defense wins Super Bowls. Why are these offensive players getting paid and the defensive guys are not? Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater got traded. I know you were calling on that earlier. That would have been a good backup for us. We could have taken Teddy Bridgewater, and then we could have shuffled Cooper or White over to Seattle. You know, now Seattle has signed. Who did Seattle sign? They I was just looking at that earlier. I did the video on it. Trade alert. Teddy Bridgewater went to the Saints, and yeah. Brett Hundley went to. So you guys, man, it's really crazy. I don't understand. These offensive players are getting signed like nothing, but we don't see the Aaron Donalds. We don't see Khalil Mack. We don't see Earl Thomas. These guys are fighting. They're holding out, and they're signing these offensive players like it's nothing. Dude, the Packers, I really believe in 2 years, 3 years, the Packers are going to have trouble. They're not going to be able to sign anyone. If they have a roster problem, if they have a problem at O-line or safety or tackle, they're going to have trouble. Seattle just signed Tyler Lockett to $37.8 million a year, or not a year, over 3 years. I apologize. Was it 3 or 4 years for Tyler Lockett? Let me check that real quick, guys. But they just spent big money on Tyler Lockett, and a 3-year deal for almost $40 million. Dude, why would they not give that to Earl Thomas? I would much rather have Earl Thomas than Tyler Lockett. It's not making sense to me. Cowboys are screwed without a backup quarterback. X Factor, yeah, I agree, bro. But I still like Cooper Rush. I think he's only had one bad game, and I think we're okay with Cooper Rush. I think Dak Prescott. I don't think Dak Prescott's the type of guy that gets injured. You know, I mean, you can't always protect an injury, but he's a solid guy. I don't think he's one of those guys that's going to have typical consistent injuries and things like that. And I know we have to have a backup. I think Cooper Rush is good enough to get us 3-3. If he goes out for 6 games, I think Cooper Rush can pull off a 3-3 for us. I'm just going over some of the news though, guys. X Factor, I got a trade for you right here. Guys, tell me about this one. They say Pete Carroll is on the hot seat. If Pete Carroll is on the hot seat, let's trade. Let's trade Jason Garrett, a tight end, and a defensive tackle for Earl Thomas and Pete Carroll. Will that work? You guys let me know how that goes, and then we can fire Pete Carroll. That's my idea. They say Pete Carroll's on the hot seat. They're not sure how things are going there. Yeah, I would rather pay Earl Thomas. I would rather pay over Tyler Lockett any day. He's overpaid. That makes no sense. Oh yeah, Chaz Green. Good call. X Factor. Yeah, We'll do Chaz Green. One of the tight ends, Schultz or Jarwin, and Jason Garrett for Pete Carroll and Earl Thomas, and then we can fire. Because the good thing about that is the coach doesn't affect your cap. So if the coach doesn't affect your cap, then hey, we lose nothing. So that's how that would work with me. Tyler Lockett is a slot receiver who plays special teams. Yeah, I really, that doesn't make sense to me to have Earl Thomas holding out for money and then you pay Tyler Lockett. So guys, the offensive players are getting the money right now. You know, you got Aaron Donald sitting out there. You got Khalil Mack sitting out there. You got Earl Thomas. These are all high-end, high-profile defensive players, and none of them are getting signed. And you look at the safeties that walked, you know, earlier this year, the Honey Badger, Tyrann Matthews. Um, Man, you know, he got paid next to nothing to go to Texas. He just wanted to get out of there. I think he's less than 4 mil. He's like 3.8 mil. So it's crazy to me. Earl Thomas is pissed at Seattle Seahawks. Tyler Lockett contract. Oh, you know it, man, dude. I would not doubt if something. Today's been a busy day. So far, I mean, at the top of my list, I got Jason Garrett trade for Pete Carroll. And Earl Thomas. We could throw Chaz Green in there definitely, but I would trade Jason Garrett for Pete Carroll. Then yeah, like I said, we could fire him. Tyler Lockett, 38.7 mil. Teddy Bridgewater traded New Orleans. You know that kind of solidifies Sam Donald's position there a little better. Aaron Rodgers to me has just killed the Packers cap space. They are going to have trouble signing guys. Let me go over the numbers for you guys on what Aaron Rodgers just got paid. What he just got paid annually is close to 20% of their cap space. That's 1/5 of their cap space is gone to one player, which is going to cause crazy problems. Let me check in, James. What's up? Hey, Buddy Johnson. I don't think they are looking to spend. Yeah, but the thing is, we have 14 million sitting there right now that we could, if we don't use it, we roll it next year. But why not use it now? Next year the cap will go up, and if they end up doing something, you know, like this 18 game season, that we're going to discuss that tonight. If you guys look back, I made a video about a month ago. One of my first videos was talking about going to a 20 game season with like 3 buys, cutting preseason down a couple weeks, but having your first game or maybe even your first 2 games set up where you carry like 70 guys on the roster. And then you can still play some guys and still cut. It's a real season game. You carry your roster a little heavy, but maybe cut down to like 60. You play your season with 60 players. I mean, you know, there's a lot of ways you could do it, but you throw a couple buys in there. And to me, the way you work that to keep the players from getting injured so much is you only allow them to play a 16 game season still. Now, if you add 2 games or four games, you could make it an odd number. It doesn't have to be an even number. It doesn't have to be. I don't see any reason it has to be, you know, 18 or 20 or if you add another 2 games, what you do is you make it where your players are only allowed to play 16 games still. They're only allowed to suit up. So if you carry 63 on the roster instead of 53, you have those extra buys, and then you have weeks where if you have a guy that's semi beat up, just tired, just worn out, like any of the guys, any guys on defensive line or offensive linemen, if they're just kind of worn out, sit them for a week or 2. You know, let them take the bye and then let them take the next week off, because you're suiting up 18 for 18 games, but you're only allowing your players to play 16. So you kind of have a rotation that would give them a rest period. I wonder, should NFL expand 53 roster? Yeah, see, that if you expand to 18 games, that's what I think. You've got to expand the roster at least, you know, 4 to 5 positional players. You go up to 58 or maybe 60, and like I said, you throw an extra bye week in there, and maybe you even just let them dress 16 games. That would force your backup quarterback. It would force your backup running back. It would force you to kind of maybe positional players like your kicker, your long snapper. You could I guess maybe waive those guys. They could still play 18 games. But to me, it works better. It gives us more football. It gives the NFL a lot more money. As far as TV time and things like that, it gives them the breaks on their Thursday games, so they're not playing on Sunday then Thursday and then have a bye week, or playing on Sunday have a bye week then play on. It really would help the rotation for them to have more flexibility. We'll see. That's the thing. I think they are trying to roll into the next season because you may have to pay D Law. Yeah, Prescott. We got guys coming up on contracts as well, and I can assure you the Cowboys were looking at. I think they're happy with Dak. I do think they're happy with Dak, but I also think they were looking at. That's why they were talking about going young, trying to get one of these guys to work out in case Dak threw some crazy number at them, that they could say, "Hey, man, we prefer just to quarterback can kill a team." And that was the numbers I was going over. Aaron Rodgers currently makes 20% of the Giants, or not the Giants, the Packers cap. 20% of the Packers caps, and that's unrealistic when you're going to try to pay players here in the recent future. The money's not going to be there. It's just not. And Odell Beckham Jr. may have just done the same thing for the Giants, and that's why I kept saying Giants a few seconds ago. Sorry, guys, but Odell Beckham Jr. just might have taken his salary into the level where it's going to affect other players. It's much better. I would much prefer to have a top 10 quarterback, barely, into that top 10 area, and pay him half of what you're going to pay a top 1, 2, or 3 quarterback in the league, and use that money to pick up 2 linebackers, a safety, and a badass, offensive tackle, and that's almost what you can get for that. The price is just ridiculous. Buddy Crunk, what if you think about Randy Gregory's new nickname? I gave him Lieutenant Gregory. Yeah, there you go. Hey, man, that dude is. Guys, imagine this, and we'll discuss it more tonight. Like I said, I wanted to go live at 6 p.m., so that's in about 3 hours. But Randy Gregory, Tyrone Crawford, David Irving, and DeMarcus Lawrence, game 5 starting. That is crazy, dude. The NFL is in trouble. If we can keep that there, man, we've got to fix this situation on the offensive line. But like I said, if it's not out there, if you can't find the bricks to build that wall, you know what I'm saying? If you're tiling a kitchen, and this maybe refers to something Mark Holmes would say, because he's always doing the work there. If you're tiling a kitchen and you have to replace some tile and you don't have tile that matches, well, you gotta rebuild the whole thing. Well, in this case, it's not like that. You put the tile in there that'll work the best, and maybe you upgrade something in the other bedroom or something. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me, what I'm trying to say is, if we can't fix that offensive line, if the linemen aren't out there, if they're all signed already, take the money and spend it on your defense. Take the money and sign us a damn safety. If it's not Earl Thomas, get somebody in there, because we need the depth. We need depth, and we need good depth. We don't need to replace, bring a guy in that's going to bump Kayvon Frazier down to the 4th one, but leave Heath and Woods as our number 1 and number 2. There's nothing wrong with bringing in a guy that goes right to the top of your list, which is what Earl Thomas would do. We would still have 4 elite safeties. If we bring in like a Reed or someone, I think he's probably better than both of the safeties we have now. But unless he writes a love letter to Jerry Jones and a love letter to George Washington Abraham Lincoln and whatever you want to say. That's, I guess it's not going to happen, which is kind of ridiculous to me. I really believe in standing and saluting and for the flag, and the national anthem was. When I went to the most recent Dallas Cowboy game I went to, I thought I was going to lose it during the national anthem. It's a special moment for me, but I don't hold it against another player to that level where I'm not going to hire a guy or I'm not going to bring him in to play football because he thinks a little different. That's just hurting our team and hurting. I would prefer if he came, I'm going to tell him, hey, you're at work. You're in the office. When you come to work, you're in the office. I agree with the NFL's policy. I think it's perfect. If you want to stay in the locker room, stay in the locker room. If you want to protest, man, as soon as that game is over and you're out, or if you want to even talk to the media after the game and make a statement about something, make a statement. But please don't do it. The game starts when the game starts. The game starts. What if Rodgers re-injures? Yeah, the collarbone. Man, yeah, that could be a Romo situation headed right for the Packers, and he got 103 mil guaranteed. He gets 67 million over the next 4 months, and then 30 something million over the next 4 months. Like in the next 10 million or in the next 10 months, he makes 103 million. So he's pulling basically about 10 million a month for the next 10 months. That's crazy. I would sign Kaepernick or Reed, but unless Jerry Jones leaves that team, yeah. I'm not too big on Kaepernick. I think he's good. I don't think he's not as good as Reed, or he's not as good as I think because I think at quarterback we're doing better than, but safety. Yeah, I definitely would look into Reed. I also would look into. I would have looked into Kenny Vaccaro, which that was his issue with some teams, or some teams' issue with him, was the national anthem thing, and just something. Some people, you have a heart for certain things, and when you kind of step on somebody's heart in an area like that, sometimes people don't like it. Particularly, I don't like it. I will always do what I can for the national anthem, but also I believe in freedom of speech. Um, it's it's just something you can't get into. But anyways, guys, so that's what I wanted to go over. We had Jason Garrett. I got the trade. The next trade that I want to see on my pop up on my Instagram is trade Jason Garrett for Pete Carroll and Earl Thomas. And as X Factor said, we'll let Chaz Green go with that. I know you guys all want to see Chaz Green stay on the team, and of course they were talking about it this morning. What if Chaz Green makes the team because of the situation with the offensive line, and they have to cut Rico Gathers to make room for some of this garbage that they're. And this situation with safety is playing with Rico Gathers' position as well, because they're having to keep these guys at safety, or have these guys at safety right now they really don't want, but they've got them on the roster because we're so thin at safety. And if they don't sign a safety that will move up into our top, we've got to have a safety that comes in and moves into the top 2, 3, or 4 position, where those guys are, because under our starting three, under Frazier, Woods, and Heath, it really drops off at that point. So if we have any injuries, the performance of the safety we're bringing in after any of those 3 guys are off, you're looking at serious drop off at safety. As you guys saw, Huff, he needs to change his name from Huff to Whiff, because that's what he did. He was whiffing at tackles. I think it looked like he purposely didn't want to hit somebody. I mean, it was like Pee Wee Herman out there trying to make a tackle. He was just diving off to the side and letting the guy go by, because his angles were horrible, completely horrible angles. Yeah, if Chaz Green is stuck on this damn team, he makes 53, and Rico Gathers don't. I think YouTube will light up with Cowboy fans so pissed off it's going to shut YouTube down. Yeah. Anthony Brown as well. He hasn't played very good. They're really high on him because he's been consistent. To me, he's been consistently average. He's made some plays, but as well as he's got burned a few times, and he's had some pass interference calls. To me, Jordan Lewis, a lot of people are high on him, but he has had a lot of pass interference calls as well. He has picked it up the last couple weeks, and I think that's his health. I think his health is better than it was last year. As you guys recall, he got us hurt a couple times last year with pass interference calls. But I think Chris Richard working with him, he's going to come along. He's going to be much better. And hey, what's up? I got a new, hey, okay, Carlos Rivera. Appreciate you joining the channel, buddy. But yeah, there's some positions we need to go over tonight. I'm sure there's a lot more things coming down the pipe. As you guys know, most of the things in the NFL start around, the news starts breaking around 10, 11, which it did today. This is going to be a busy week. Also, next week will be pretty busy. I hope we get involved. I did a video earlier. You know, this, you always talk about keeping up with the Joneses. You see your neighbor get something, you see your neighbor buy a car, and of course the first thing your wife is, hey honey, did you see, you know, the neighbor, whatever, so-and-so got a new car. And next thing you know, your wife's, let's go look at new cars. You're like, oh hell, here we go. We got to keep up with the Joneses. Well, at this point, Jerry Jones is not keeping up with the Joneses. And he just stated earlier yesterday, if he had, or that was this morning possibly, I read the post real quick when I was breezing through things. He said if he had to write a check to win a Super Bowl, he would just write a check. Well, bro, the checkbook, you've got it. You've got the pen. There's players out there, but you better write a check before these players are gone. I know they're expecting to pick up some players later this week when cuts are made and when teams are going to let some guys go because of the new nature of the game is to let your veterans go, even if they're good players, kind of like what we did with Dez, kind of like the situation with Earl Thomas, kind of like this situation with George Igaye. I know I say his name wrong, but the safety that left the Bengals the other day, they didn't cut him because he was a poor player. They cut him because his salary was higher than his performance. That's what we said. The same thing about Dez. His salary was higher than his performance. That's what they're saying about Earl Thomas. They don't want to pay a player that much. That's a safety that you know. So this is coming around. There's going to be players available next week. I think that's what the Cowboys are waiting on. But this really could turn into a situation. This really could turn into a situation where we miss out on some players and we're hurting. So yeah, I know. Try to how to say it. G2 wavy. Iloka. Okay, I'll save that. Matter of fact, I should take a picture. George Iloka. If I said that right, I still don't know if I said it right. Also, George Iloka got cut because they paid Atkins. Yeah, and that's how it works, guys. It's all salary cap. It's all a game. And if really one thing, I don't do this, but a friend of mine does. He plays these video games where you're like the owner, and I don't know what they're called. You guys might know what they're called, but he talks about stuff, and they actually, those rules do change a lot. So those video games sometimes are behind, but it shows you how to be like a Jerry Jones and cap and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons Iloka got cut was because they had to pay Atkins and they paid Dunlap as well. So, okay, thank you. I'm horrible at pronouncing names. A lot of that's because I've traveled so damn much. I've only spent about 22 of all of my 48 years in the United States, and that includes my first 18 years. I was 18. From the time I was 18 till now, I've only spent about 6 years in the U.S. So that's, yeah, Madden and some of those things like that they'll surprise you what you can learn on there. But I'm gonna cut it for now, guys. Like I said, we will be live at 6 o'clock tonight. I'm gonna move the studio into the living room. I got my third computer back out of the shop, so that means I will be able to run a live stream. Yeah, Thomas Garrett, that's Gold's Gym over on Magnolia, the Big Mag Nasty. It actually is the largest Gold's Gym in it's the largest Gold's Gym in the state of Texas or the Southwest United States or something like that. But it's a huge gym, really nice. We go there every day when I'm home. So um, sponsorship for Gold's Gym, even though I don't look like I did a year ago. But we're working on that. I'm gonna get back. I gotta get back into some things. Also, yeah, we got Tyler Lockett signed for 13.8 million. Teddy Bridgewater traded. That frees up Sam Donald. Aaron Rodgers just killed the Packers cap. I don't think they're going to be able within 2 years, 3 years. They're not going to be able to keep linemen, defensive linemen, corners, safeties, receivers. The Cowboys, I think we're doing the smart thing. We're trying to stay away from that. And it all depends. We've got a really good deal with Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott right now. And that's why, to me, it's a really good idea to lock these guys up early with such as, like, if we do an Earl Thomas thing, DeMarcus Lawrence, lock these guys up early before, we get in a situation with Dak and you just say, hey, look, Dak, this is what's left. You take it or we've got to move on. And you've got to start putting players in the position where you just can't overpay for players, because truthfully, if you're talking about you're a family and you're the Cowboys and I want to be a Cowboy for life, well, then you got to share your salary with your brothers. Your brothers are your teammates. If I'm a quarterback, my brothers are my linemen, my running back, my receivers. I can't take a salary that's going to take food out of my brother's plate or take food. Bro, come on. The money they're making these days is ridiculous. So to get paid the way some of these guys are paying, and then to turn around and say, I want to be a Packer for life or this, that, that. Let me see. I missed something. Hey, Cowboy Crunk, G2 Wade just said on Instagram the Cowboys signed Thomas. No way. Are you serious, dude? Don't be bullshitting. How many looks like Gold's Gym? Let me check my Instagram, bro. Liked by Earl. Seahawks extended wide receiver Lockett. I didn't see that one. I'm looking. I don't see anything yet, man. There's no way if that happened. I'm looking on Instagram. Let me check Earl Thomas's page. Where is he at? Man, I'm so tripping right now. I don't even know how to do this. Earl Thomas. Last thing I have is he's being patient. Where are we at? Dude, don't sell on Instagram. Hey, show the post, man, or who's it under? Earl Thomas has nothing on his page. I know he's down in Austin. He's been down in Austin for about a year now. Earl Thomas has. He's working out with the Cowboys. Is BS? Hey, man, don't be doing that G2 way. You can stay on the page, but bro, I've been working this thing for a long time. I'm following the dude on he's like looking at houses down in Austin. He wants to be down there in case. There's a lot of things. I'm not seeing nothing yet. Let me go over here to my other information page. Nothing there. I don't see anything on that, guys. I'll keep looking, but bro, you gave me a heart attack, man. That's a little overpaying for him. 13 mil. They can't do 13 mil. He would have to get we'd have to do the trade first, and I don't see any. Yeah, because they would have to trade something, and I would think we would be seeing that already. Yeah, we would have to see the trade first before. I don't know where that information. Of course, there's a lot of guys out there, and I don't fault anyone for saying something. The best thing to do is post some kind of proof with it or something. But yeah, there's nothing on Earl Thomas's page, and there would have been a trade earlier, well before he signed. Because what's going to happen is the way that's going to work. The Seattle Seahawks would trade the rights to him to Dallas, and then it might be a day or two. Truthfully, he could go into trade. He could go into holdout with the Dallas Cowboys. What would happen is he would get traded to us. I think it's $8.4 million or whatever his salary is per year right now. if we traded for him, he would come to us. The Seahawks would get whatever we traded, draft pick and a player or whatever, or Jason Garrett or Chaz Green. Those guys would get shipped off. Earl Thomas would come to us, and immediately Earl Thomas and the Cowboys would start negotiating his pay. Rightfully, we could pay him what he's making now. We could say, hey, they traded you to us, but what we do is we take a risk. We take a risk of if he comes here and we say we're going to pay you that as well, we take a risk of a player being traded to us in a holdout situation. He could hold out in Dallas as well. He could get to us and say, I'm not playing unless I make 13 mil a year. And if we don't want to pay him that, so usually before that happens, they have some kind of way of making sure the player is going to be cool with coming in and yeah, you always. I guarantee you, if you Google Earl Thomas, there's all kinds of crazy stuff out there. So yeah, that was a little quick to jump on. The first thing we'll see if anything happens with Earl Thomas is a trade. You'll see the trade happen. Then the negotiations will start with him and Dallas on what he's going to make. If he agrees to the 8 point whatever million, then he plays under the 8 point whatever million he's supposed to make at Seattle, because they're trading him at that value. If he says, you guys traded me to the Cowboys, but I'm not playing for 8.9 million or 8.1 whatever it was, then he starts a holdout with the Cowboys. So I don't expect that to happen. I think at this point he would even finish the year at his current salary. If that's what we decided to do, we would get him under the 1 year contract, and that would be the best deal for us. That might be what the Cowboys are waiting on. Maybe they're waiting on Seattle to take the trade him to us, and then maybe we're going to hold out and say, look, you're making what you make. You signed the deal with Seattle. You can play in our uniform for a year, and let's see what you got. Mr. Tractor, very, very smart. He would hold out with the Cowboys. Yeah, he could. He could easily hold out with the Cowboys. I don't think he would. I think he wants to get back on the field. I know he wants to get back on the field. And he's looking at losing $800,000 a year, or a week, excuse me, $800,000 per game once the season starts. Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing? Hey, Cowboys family, all in the house, thank you very much. We'll be live tonight at 6 p.m. Going over some of the trades and the stuff that's happened today. Not sure if you're aware. I'm sure you keep up on top of everything. But a bunch of offensive players have signed today. Still nothing on Aaron Donald. Still nothing on Khalil Mack. Still nothing on Earl Thomas. It's just ridiculous what they're paying these offensive players. And dude, it's like nobody gives a damn about defense. But everybody says defense will win you championships, but nobody's going to pay any of these defensive players what they deserve. But they're going to give Aaron Rodgers enough money to screw Green Bay's cap space for the next 4 years. I don't see them, maybe even longer than that. So, hey, I'm very happy with the Green Bay decision to sign Aaron Rodgers at a long, deep, expensive contract. Go pay that man, because you're not going to have money for other players. Exactly, 134 mil, and you're going to say you're a Packers guy, and you are taking money off of your family's table, not your family, your football family. You're taking money off of your receivers, off your linemen. When you do those kind of deals and you clear the table and you clear the cap for your damn team, you're clearing that money into your pocket. You're taking away from the other guys. So I don't see how that's going to happen. He's taken up over 20% of their cap, and they're not going to be able to pay anybody else. They're going to be, they're going to be stuck there with a bunch of guys that are journeyman players. You're going to have Aaron Rodgers, which I think he can throw the ball to anyone. He could probably throw me open, and not to say I'd catch it, but he could throw me open, I guarantee you. So maybe they could cut back in receivers, but he's still got to have linemen to protect him, or he's going to end up having more collarbones broken, like Tony Romo, and possibly back problems and all kind of things. So Beckham got paid insane amount. Exactly. That's two I'm looking at two NFC teams that I think we don't have to worry about 2 years from now. Two years from now, I don't think we'll have to worry about the Packers, and I don't think we'll have to worry about the Giants, because Eli Manning is rescinding, his abilities rescinding, and the money that they just paid Beckham, they're gonna have a tough time, and I think we've built a good enough team around Dak Prescott where if Dak Prescott demands some crazy contract like this, I'm sorry guys, but you can't do it. You've got to tell him, look, man, we'll pay you. We'll pay you 18 mil a year. We can do 18 mil a year. You will, set the contract up for a certain amount to be guaranteed and give you, the high end on the guaranteed. But we can't pay over 20 mil for a quarterback. Yeah, you still are here. What's up? 30 years old. Yeah, dude, that's crazy there. Sandberg, to hit the cap, that's just too much. I hope we don't pay Prescott or Zeke too much. We won't, guys. I mean, you can see how cheap the Cowboys are being right now, and they're learning. Uh, and I think Earl Thomas is probably asking for too much. But I think the reason I'm still hot on it is I think he will play here and respect that system, respect the value. If he's a top five paid, if he's in the top five paid safeties, I think he'll be happy here. You put him anywhere between 11-5, maybe 12, or 11 and 12, somewhere between there, and that's a respectable salary for him. Bring him in, do him a 3-year contract, do 33 mil, give him 21 guaranteed or something like that, but we've got to do something to make one of the walls in our house stronger, because you guys know offensive line is just not holding weight right now, and that was 2 years ago. That was a strong point, and it's still a strong point if we're healthy. But that's where it comes into money. We've got to have the money, and we got to have the resources. The money's got to be there and available when there's an offensive line on the blocks that can help us, and someone cuts him and that may happen next week. And that's what the Cowboys are banking on. What they're banking on is with the safety thing, but it's going to end up pertaining to the offensive line thing as well. Next week, what the Cowboys are banking on is there's going to be players that get cut because their salary is a little steep, and they've got a rookie or they got a second-year guy, a sophomore season under them, that they're like, hey, let's cut this guy because his salary is 8 mil a year, and let's move this rookie up. They play relatively the same, but we're going to save $6 million in salary this year. So that's what they're looking at doing. Is they're not looking at paying these veterans 10, 12 mil a year when they've got rookies or guys on the the reserve guys that are right behind them. Their progress is being stunted. The lack of progress is there because they've got a veteran guy over them, when relatively the play is relatively close. Cut the veteran guy, move the guy up, take the salary, and move to your next position and start working on your next position where you need help. And it's a management thing. If Bell gets paid, Zeke will get paid due to his age and position value on this team. Go ask. Yeah, it's true. Zeke, I think, is going to ask for money, and I think he's happy being a Cowboy. But I think some of the stuff he's gone through, in the last couple years, he's going to want to prove his solidify his position as, hey, I am a good quarterback. And if you guys look, Zeke don't really get a lot of talk out there on with the big names like Bell and Gurley and some of those guys. Sometimes they talk about the Cowboys that don't mention Zeke as much as you see them mention other things. So we'll see. I think Zeke might be one of those guys that asks for money. I think Dak will be flexible, even though Dak is not making any money right now. He's getting paid horrible compared to other starting quarterbacks. If Bill expector, you mean on Saturday players are going to get cut? I think it's Saturday. Yeah, Saturday is, I think, cut day. I'm not sure exactly the date, but there's going to be players released just after the games this weekend, and I'm not sure if they go all the way down to the 53 then. Let's see, next year free agency is going to be fun. Yeah, next year is going to be completely different than this year with us having more players locked in, and we'll see where that goes as well. Rogers, even though he had just burned, yeah, kind of pass rush and going to have against him and Tom. Yeah, the pass rush we'll have this year against the Packers. We won't play. We don't have them on the schedule this season. If we see him, it'll be in the playoffs. So if we see Aaron Rodgers, the next time we'll see him is in the playoffs, unless they decide they paid him too much and try to trade him. Maybe that would be crazy. Sign a huge contract and then trade him. I mean, you never know. If there's a team out there that wants to take that contract on, maybe they decide at the last minute, damn, maybe we made a mistake and paid too much. If anybody's open to take Aaron Rodgers, you just got to pay him $134 million. So, yeah, they all go, and that's what's confusing me. Previous years, they did a cut, I think, down like to 70 or something at like week 3, and then they would cut down to 53, and I think they stopped doing that this year. I think it's the first year they stopped doing that. Thomas, our salary cap next year is going to be over 50 mil. I'm not sure on our next year's salary cap. Some solid safeties next year if they decide to test the free agency. Yeah, next year there's a lot of free safeties out there this year that signed fairly low. As you guys know, like Tyrann Mathieu, Kenny Vaccaro. There was a lot of them out there that signed to not what they're used to making. And that's why it's freaking me out right now today. All these offensive players just like across the board just signed these huge salaries, long-term guaranteed money, the trades on offensive players, and it looks like everyone's sitting still on defense. No sign of Aaron Donald, no sign of Khalil Mack, no sign of Earl Thomas. So let me read one more. It's actually about that doesn't include if we roll over. Man, that's scary. I thought next year we were set. It's actually about. Are you talking about we're 60, 65 over, or we have 65 mil? Yeah, okay. There's going to be some good play. There's going to be some players in the street next year on the waiver wire after Saturday. Yes, there are. I don't know if we'll grab a safety at that point. If we can get if we can get a close to Pro Bowl caliber safety, I'm cool with doing that and saving. Yeah, and saving. I'm good with doing that and saving a lot of money and not doing the Earl Thomas thing. But we have to do something at safety, especially with our O-line the way it is. If we can make our team stronger anywhere, we got to do it. And you guys know we don't need any defensive linemen. We don't need any linebackers. We don't, we're okay at corner. I think depth at corner would help. But on our defense, the only position we're looking is safety. On the offensive side, I think we're solid everywhere if we're healthy. So I don't see the need for spending big money on the offensive line to bring somebody in right now. Because once we get healthy later in the year, then we'll have an expensive lineman sitting on the, sitting. Safety is our weakest point on the team, and that's why I think it needs to be addressed. And it can be addressed because there's safeties out there that can help us right now. In particular one, and we have the money to go get him. So I just wanted to get that out. There was a bunch of stuff going on. Earlier we got something concerning Earl Thomas, but as you guys know, that did not happen. There was no Earl Thomas trade yet. We'll see the trade before we see a contract signing. If he signs a contract, it will be with Seattle, and that'll be an extension. So if the next thing you see is Earl Thomas signs a contract, that means it was with Seattle because he would have to be traded to us. Then we would have to accept that 8 point whatever million he's making right now. And then if he wants to renegotiate, he tells the Cowboys, yeah, I got traded to your team, but I'm not playing for the salary that Seattle had me set at. I want more than that. So that's when it would go into negotiations between us and Seattle. So let me jump off, guys. I'll see you tonight at 6 p.m. I'll move into the studio to the living room. I've been trying to get off for a while, but I'm on vacation, so I imagine that we'll be drafting or signing a lot of defensive players next offseason. I hope so in the secondary. You know, I hope we sign some guys. It would be nice to see a veteran out there, and signing some of these D-line that are young. Would be crazy, God forbid, Rodgers. Yeah, I hope. I never wish an injury on anyone. I'm in the process of ordering an Aaron Rodgers jersey. I'm doing that on purpose. Yes, I will have an Aaron Rodgers jersey, and we will. It will say "Bad Man" on the back. So my Aaron Rodgers jersey will say "Bad Man" on the back. I'm gonna take it out on the front, and I will do a little statement before. I don't wish anything bad on Aaron Rodgers. I don't wish anything bad on injuries for his family. I wish him the best. I just want him to throw 1,000 interceptions and no touchdowns. And I want to see him in the playoffs, and I want us to make him look horrible. I want to see the change of command. That's what we call it in the military. When there's a commander and that commander leaves and a new commander comes in, I want to see Dak Prescott do a change of command, take the flag away from Aaron Rodgers, and walk away. And I will burn that jersey. I have it ready. It's Aaron Rodgers, perfect jersey, just like this, "Bad Man" on the back, and we will light that on fire, and I will make sure Stephen A. Smith gets a copy of it somehow. If I got to, yeah, and I hope D-Law and Randy Gregory and David Irving make him fumble his ass all over the place. I will actually want to buy a Breeze and a AJ Green jersey. I like those. Yeah, but I'm getting the Aaron Rodgers jersey because I'm gonna set it on fire straight up. I'm gonna burn it till it's done. I'm gonna tell him nothing against him, but he's got to be he's got to be dethroned as the commander of the NFC, and that's Dak's job. Dak needs to go get that job, but he needs our offensive line's help. So anyways, guys, we'll see you at 6 o'clock tonight if we can. Take care. Thanks for joining in. I appreciate the time. I'm going to jump off real quick. Go take care of some errands and some running around. And 6 o'clock tonight, Central Time, will be on NFL Network covering all of these. Yeah, Anthony. Anthony, I'm going to burn that damn jersey till there's nothing left. Not a damn thing left. So you guys take care. See you at 6 o'clock tonight. Cowboy Crunk and Cowgirl Crunk will be live.